economics. Born in Washington, D.C., he studied at Harvard University, Juilliard School of Music, and Columbia University. He has taught at various universities, including Columbia University, City University of New York, Washington University, and many other several universities in the field of economics. He has served in 2015 as the University Chair Professor in the School of Economics. He has also lectured on economics at Gujarat Vidyapeeth, at the Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics, and was a visiting professor in 2016 at the University of Zaragoza. Mr. Lindlay has identified himself as an atheist and is a very prominent speaker in the field of economics. I request sir to please address the audience with his words.
During the early years of the American United States, we had some brilliant economists in the federal government, and they laid the institutional groundwork for the USA to become the greatest successful capitalist country. The American dream, every generation from 1800 until 1980, 180 years, every generation, in every generation, 95% of the people, roughly almost everyone, was better off materially than their parents had been. Always better, always more. Not the Native American Indians, not them, but the immigrants who came from Europe, yes? This started around 1800. They had a very wise customs duty situation, owing to Alexander Hamilton, the first Secretary of the Treasury. He had a moderate customs duty, enough to protect the agriculture in the South, but not enough to cause retaliation of high customs duties in England and Europe. Very measured policy. Then there was another brilliant Secretary of Treasury who said the federal government will not give any monopolies. In Europe, there was a tradition the King of France would give a monopoly of this industry or that industry to one corporation, you see. No government monopoly. Let the young people compete, you see. So we had, and then there were government subsidies for new businesses. It was all very carefully built to lead to growth and efficiency, yes? And so every American generation, from about 1800 to 1980, until the time of Ronald Reagan and so on, almost everybody was getting better off. Not just the people at the top, but also the immigrants at the bottom. And the land had been very little farmed. The land was rich land, good soil in the U.S. Yes, not soil that had been farmed for thousands of years with the depletion of the nutrients. No, fresh soil in the Midwest. We were the breadbasket of Soviet Russia. Yes, they had to import grain from us. Yes, we had the good soil. We had immigrants coming in from Europe and from China. Yes, to work that soil, chasing out the American Indians, taking over the soil. Yes, and so the agriculture built. Then the industry came along. We built the railways, as you had built in India. But your railway system was built to benefit England. Our railway system was built for American prosperity. Then came the great inventions of the second half of the 19th century. The telegraph, the telephone, yes. Then the Edison, the electricity, yes. Westinghouse, the alternating current, so on. All these inventions. The mass production, Henry Ford. The land in the middle of America, the Great Plains of America, is rather flat. So we had big fields with big agricultural machines. Yes, you can go to the Smithsonian Institute and you can see threshers that are as wide as this whole desk. You understand, a single tractor pulling a big machine behind it that will do all the plowing this wide. You see, so our use of tractors when we had the internal combustion engine was much more efficient than yours. Your tractors are on little plots of land. Our tractors were on big plots. We had all this efficiency. Henry Ford, so on. So it was getting better and better all the way until about the 1980s. And from the 1930s, we had the Great Depression in the late 20s and 30s. But then we had strong trade unions coming up during and after the Second World War. So the blue-collar workers were participating in the prosperity. They were getting good wages, you see. So everybody was taking part in the prosperity in the USA. After the Second World War, we had another bonus. The competing countries that had the great factories, Germany, England, Japan, their factories were destroyed in the Second World War. In Germany and Japan, we were the manufacturing giant in the 1950s and 60s. We had no competition. You understand? I'm exaggerating a little, but you understand, we had a free field. India was, with Tata, you're going to beat US Steel? No, it was just beginning to come along. But after the Japanese and the Germans built their new steel mills in the 1960s, those mills were more modern and more efficient than the old steel mills in Pittsburgh in the US. You see? So now we had the disadvantage of not having had our steel mills destroyed. You understand? There were these things. So we lost that advantage. And now the US is basically manufacturing, no longer the manufacturing giant. We're going over to a post-industrial society in the US where services are more and more, a larger share of the market is for services and a smaller share for manufacturing. China is producing heaps of steel. The Japanese automobiles are selling better in America than the American automobiles. And you go to the computers, I have a Chinese computer, a Lenovo, you used to call it IBM, now it's made in China, Japanese quality products, higher quality than American. So we are going down as a manufacturing country. Now, at the same time, the level of money inequality in America among the citizens has increased tremendously since the 1950s. Yes? So some people in the US are doing beautifully today. The financial speculators on Wall Street, they're not producing anything. They're gambling. It's casino capitalism. But they are making heaps of money. Yes? The women are coming into business. They're doing well. With Mr. Obama, after Martin Luther King, we now have a bit of a black middle class. The Puerto Ricans are getting into capitalism. So there are parts of America, not quite the top 1%, but in the top 15%, there are a lot of people who are still a lot better off with money than their parents were. But the people who are no longer better off than their parents are the white, blue-collar workers. White skin, blue collar. And they don't understand what I've just told you. They have not been to university. They don't have a broad view. And they're angry. Because the American dream is, you will be better off than your parents. We are entitled to that in America. That's why you all have a cousin or a nephew in the US. Yes. They want to go and get that dream. Yes. Well, that's a brain drain. The ones you are sending for America are the smart ones. Yes. You see, So there are these people in America who are no longer getting the American dream. White skin, blue collar, not as well off as their parents were. And they are angry. What happened? My parents have a house. I cannot buy a house. The mortgage is too much for me. Or I signed a mortgage, and the interest rate was low when I signed it, but there was some small print that said that they could raise the interest rate on the mortgage later whenever they wanted. And now they're taking my house away from me, and I still have debt. This is after the crash of 2007 and 8 in the real estate market. And they're furious. You understand? Now, the Democratic Party was the party of the safety net, of the welfare state in the U.S. in the 1930s. Yes? Social security, old age, yes? Pensions, right? Strong trade unions. Yeah? The Democratic Party is today beholden to the money from Wall Street to run the election campaign. Yes? So the Democratic Party has not realized this issue enough. So they're losing the trust of these white blue-collar workers. The trade unions are weaker than ever. Yes? The coal miners are out of work. Well, coal is going down. You know, in Western India, coal is more expensive now for electricity than solar panels. You know that. You have to bring the coal from the East Coast. The railway is charging more for the freight. The solar panels are subsidized. Electricity is cheaper in Western India if it comes from solar panels than it comes from coal. Same kind of situation in the U.S. The coal miners, they're at the fag end, right? And the Democrats are saying, well, of course, we'll retrain you. The Republicans are saying, we'll keep you getting rich mining coal. So Donald Trump comes in, and he plays the fascist card to these angry people. Yes? He says, it is the fault of those uppity women. It is the fault of those blacks getting ahead under Obama. Look, this black person is in the cabinet. That black person is here and there, these top white-collar workers with black skin. This is evil, right? It is their fault. It's the fault of these uppity women. It's the fault of those Chinese and the Japanese. It's the fault of the Germans. The Germans, they're outproducing us. They're selling Mercedes-Benz cars in America. He eliminates the fact that they're actually making the Mercedes-Benz cars in America. He says the Germans should not sell their cars here because they're taking our jobs away. In fact, those cars are made with American labor, but he leaves that out. You see, it is a fascist, demagogic type of argument. Now, there are politicians who play this populist card in many countries. I won't name any names. But at least some of those people who are terrific know how to govern. They have policies. Donald Trump has no policy. You understand? Now, that's part of the situation. And that's why these people are still clinging to Donald Trump, right? They're still hoping he can do what he said he could do. Yes? He has delivered nothing to them except hope. And it will become clear that he cannot deliver anything substantial pretty soon. He's blaming the Muslims mainly, but also the Germans, the Chinese, the Japanese, this, that. He has no policy. It changes from one day to the other. You don't know. Now, I want to say a little more about Donald Trump. When he was a teenager, 18 years old, he inherited millions of dollars. His father was a real estate dealer in New York, and this young man got several $1 million. If he had taken that money and put it in a savings account, he would be twice as rich today. But no, he wanted to play businessman, so he played business. Every single business he played lost money. And then he would declare bankruptcy. The only thing that was successful was his television program. Brilliant television man, yes? Everything else was a failure. Now, he has never held a single government position at any level. Dog catcher, school board, nothing, nothing, nothing. Never read the Constitution, doesn't understand the difference between the executive branch, the legislative branch, the judiciary, completely empty of qualifications to be the President of the United States. There are more than, and always scamming. He'll hire people to work to build his hotel, and then he won't pay the salary. So then they have to go to court. Then he has a lawyer who delays the court for years and years. There are more than 300 lawsuits against Donald Trump for scamming. And some of those suits are criminal lawsuits. They're not all civil lawsuits. So maybe, I don't know the count, but I know it's more than 300 suits in all. Yes? And some of them are criminal suits, and more criminal lawsuits are coming along now because of his behavior as President of the United States. In my opinion, it is very likely that he will not only be impeached, but that within 5 years he will be in jail. But it is not enough. He is only one man. Underneath is this anger of these blue-collar workers. America has passed her crest. She is gradually going down. No longer. After 1990, when the Russian-Soviet Empire collapsed, we were the only superpower. We could not maintain that position. Mr. George W. Bush and Mr. Cheney, they believed that America would remain the top dog throughout the 21st century, and that's why they went to war in Iraq. They were going to show that we can do anything. Big mistake. It's accelerating our decline. And then Mr. Obama made the unfortunate decision to buy the idea of the Arab Spring. And we bombed, and we sent our soldiers, and our people don't understand the culture, don't understand who the different groups are, is this, that, and we got into deep trouble there. We're losing Syria like we lost Afghanistan, like we lost Iraq. We have a whole string of wars that we lost, right? It was even. We made a deal in Korea, a truce, right? Right? And in Vietnam, we lost, yes? But since then, we lost in Iraq, we lost in Afghanistan, we're losing in Syria, right? So, Donald Trump says, America first. You understand? So we're on the way down, and these people are angry. It's not the American dream. So for many Americans, not all of them, some in the top 20% still have the American dream. But a lot of them in the middle, they've lost the dream, and they are angry. That anger has to be dealt with in a different way. It's not enough to dump Trump. There has to be an inventive policy to deal with those issues. This is the basic American political situation. The Democratic Party has failed because it is not radical enough. Yes? So Bernie Sanders is the right way for the Democratic Party to go. He cannot become president. He is old and he is Jewish. There has never been a Jew elected to the presidency or vice presidency. There is enough anti-Semitism in America to make that a decisive issue. But the policies he is recommending are the right kind of direction for the Americans to go. You understand? So maybe, and Hillary Clinton, she is not a crook, but also she is not very intelligent. She has made many mistakes. Arab Spring, that was her idea. Yeah? She made mistakes with her telephone. Again and again, she has made mistakes. She is simply out of her depth at that level, right? With all due respect, there's nothing criminal about her. She is not an evil person, but she is simply not bright enough in that league, yes? So she was a weak candidate. She could not possibly have become the candidate if she had not been the wife of Bill Clinton, who was smarter than she was. So she was a mistaken candidate for the Democratic Party. And she was a Me Too candidate. She was not attractive enough as a candidate. She did get more votes than Donald Trump. Yes, and then there were these flukes and so on. So this is the American situation. Yes, I think I've covered what I came to say. Yes, so we need to have the kind of inventiveness in America which fits the American situation, the way you need to have inventiveness in India to fit the Indian situation. Yes, in India, now I am a guest here, so I won't say everything I think, but you have a prime minister who does not read books and who is a terrific campaigner, wonderful speeches, yes? But he does have policies, he does have ideas, and he is listening to ideas. He went to Paris and made a deal in the Paris conference, you understand? Now, in the latest National Financial Report by his chief economic advisor, in that 2017 National Financial Report, there is a chapter, Chapter 9. Chapter 9. Yes? What is the name of the man? We heard him, Desardachi. We heard him together at the Gokhale Institute.
Yes.
What is his name? The chief financial advisor to the government.
Yes, I mean to
Yes. Chapter 9. Universal basic income. Guaranteed every citizen unconditionally. Basic income so they never have to have destitution throughout their life. In the report to the Prime Minister issued last month, a whole chapter saying the time has come. BJP, the time has come to talk about how to do this. Yes? First page, BJP document. First page, full page of citations from Mahatma Gandhi. Would you believe it? First the talisman. Yes, whenever you are in doubt what to do, think of the poorest man. Yep. BJP, National Economic Report, Chapter 9, first page. This statement, two other statements by Gandhi. Then a sophisticated discussion of the advantages and problems of universal basic income. In my humble opinion, if Mr. Modi goes for that, he'll be re-elected. Mr. Modi, before he became Prime Minister, he was the Chief Minister of one of the states of India. He has he knows how to govern. You may disagree with him. You may have an opinion about his character, but he has government experience. He is much better than Mr. Trump. You can criticize the soft Hindutva, whatever you want, but there's no comparison in competence between Modi and Trump. And Trump is much worse. And Trump has created a level of chaos in the American political fabric that is unbelievable. He hasn't made appointments. Yes? There was a catastrophe in there was a big catastrophe a couple of days ago in a country where the United States has no ambassador. Nobody to deliver a message because he hasn't appointed these people, right? We are in a state of shallowness and chaos in the American seat. Now, the Republican Party is today, to a large extent, answering to this racist drumbeat of people who hate Mr. Obama. Yes. So the Republican Party has a dilemma that is just as great as the dilemma of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has failed its basic constituency of blue-collar workers and trade unions. That was the strength of the party. They have failed. They have a dilemma because they're not going the Bernie Sanders route. We need a younger candidate. That's like Elizabeth Warren, the senator from Massachusetts. She is smart. She could be a good president. She is smart enough. The Democratic Party is not doing what it needs to do, and the Republicans, almost every Republican legislator has a dilemma. A few very moderate Republicans, they have already said they're going to support Obama, the Obama health care program. Right? Now, and there are just a few diehard Republicans who are going to be loyal to Donald Trump no matter what happens. But 90% of the Republican legislators are torn. Will I remain faithful to Donald Trump's supporters, right? Or will I break, you see? And what happens there will determine whether and when Donald Trump is impeached. Because unless they are really worried, they will not vote for impeachment. Now, impeachment is a procedure, it is a trial, which is conducted in the Senate, but the decision to hold the trial is made by the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives is like the Lok Sabha, it's the lower house. They vote to impeach. Impeachment is a trial conducted in the Senate, and the Senate votes whether to remove the president or not. In each case, there must be Republican votes in favor of the impeachment and in favor of removing him, and the Republicans are going to have to decide how to go on this issue. Do you understand? So the Republican Party is in trouble. The Democratic Party is in trouble because of its failures. You see. So we have a worse political situation in the United States than you have in England. Even worse, in my humble opinion.